So, welcome back to Dirt and Dibs. This episode takes a bit of a turn because we're here at Southern Cross Station. Might be a bit hard to hear me, but we're travelling out to Geelong to go pick up a bike. Pretty excited about it. So, film a bit of the journey there and then keep the bike a bit of a surprise and see us riding home, and then we'll do a bit of a review once we get home. If you want to have a guess of what bike it is we get, drop it in the comments below, and there may be a prize for the correct guess. So, we'll see you in Geelong. Alrighty, so I've just made it to Ocean Grove, Barwon Heads. I missed my bus stop, so I just jumped off on the outskirts of Ocean Grove, so I'm walking back towards Barwon Heads. But luckily, it is a great day for a walk because look, the sun is shining and I'm on the beach, so I'm not mad about that. So I'm going to do the walk, and then we're going to go meet up with the owner and pick up our motorcycle. Alrighty, so I'm now home. I've gotten the bike back to my place and I can now do the reveal on what we actually picked up. So there it is, sitting right behind me. It is none other than a Yamaha T7. So we'll go have a look over the bike and we'll have a quick chat about it. So this is it. So excuse the dirtiness of the motorcycle at the moment, as I've just been out thoroughly testing it off-road and basically riding some of the single trails and the trails with it. So it is pretty dirty all over underneath. Did drop it, but no damage, which is brilliant. So what is the T7? Basically, the T7 is Yamaha's adventure bike. They've done Teneres from the 80s all the way through now to the Tenere 700. Now this is a 2020 model, so it's got a couple of years on it. It's done 16,000 Ks and I've put maybe a few hundred Ks on it now, riding it to work and also riding it back and then riding it out in the trails where I've been testing it. So the Tenere is a well-known bike amongst Dakar. The Yamaha put it up. It is done successfully well and really well within the Paris to Dakar rallies, all the way from the inception of the Tenere to currently at the moment as well when they run the Dakar rally. Some really well-known riders of the Tenere 700, or T7 as also commonly called, are Paul Taras, who's a Spanish rider. If you haven't, go check out the Seeker parts 1, 2 and 3. They are unreal. The way that he rides these T7s is you think they'd be a little push bike or a little 250 off-road. Now, the other person that I've seen ride the T7 unbelievably well is Adam Reamond over at Mythology Films. He just rides the thing too like a dirt bike. So why did I get the T7? So basically I got the T7 because it is the middle line of the adventure range across all different brands. So there's like the BMW GSXs and the big adventure series of the 1200s, KTM, Honda with the Transalpine Africa Twin, but my main focus was the Tenere 700. After seeing Paul Taras and Adam Reamond, I sort of really liked the bikes and then done my own research into the bikes and found for me and my size and the way I ride, the T7 is best suited for me. So looking at some of the features on the T7, we've got full LED headlights. These lights here, I'll turn the key and you can see they are all full LED running lights. So it means during the day and the night you'll see the indicators going, full LED in the front as well as full LEDs on the rear for the indicators and the brakes all in one. Picking up the bike, it came with a few aftermarket accessories like the bark busters. It has come fitted with Yamaha genuine heated grips, which obviously during those cold mornings they've made a huge difference on my hands. I might be getting soft, but they're a game changer. It came with a quad lock. I already run quad lock on the dirt bike, which we know, so moving from one to the other was brilliant because my case is already set up ready to go. This bike also came with a centre stand, so that has been bloody brilliant. When I first originally picked it up, I had in my mind that I was going to rip it straight off because I wasn't interested in it. But after talking to a few people and riding it off-road and putting it up on the centre stand to chain lube and check the chain tension and stuff, it's sort of really come into its own, especially if I get a puncture out in the trails or when I'm out on an adventure. Just the fact I can put it up on the centre stand, get that rear wheel up, get the front wheel up, and I can do whatever I need to. It just makes it a whole lot easier. Everything's neutral too, so if I want to check the oil or top up the oil, everything's on a neutral plane, which is brilliant. So another reason I went the T7 over other adventure bikes is that they are a 6-speed gearbox, which is brilliant. So when I'm on the freeway, I can sit 110 comfortably and the engine is not screaming its head off. Also, the other thing is that they're a twin-cylinder engine and EFI, which means that they run a whole lot more efficiently and also not as hard on the engine and the running components when revving it up in that high end or as those bottom ends. It just means that it's got all-round smooth power all the way through the gears, which is bloody brilliant. So we've gone over some of the things that the bike came with and the things that I do like about this bike and the main reason that I bought this bike. Now let's talk about some downsides. There are some downsides for the T7. They're not huge, but they are very, very fixable and they're not too expensive. Like you do have to outlay a bit of money, but they're not overly expensive to fix them. So we'll go over what those fixes are and those problems are. So we'll just start from the front and then we'll work our way back about some of the problems. So one of the problems are this low mounted front fender. So basically you only get maybe like 100mm gap between the tyre and then the actual guard, which means that if you're off riding in dirt or wet sand or anything that can clag up, it will actually cake up on the inside and then can stop your wheel from spinning, which may do damage to your bearings and your brake pads and calipers. So to fix that, we're going to put a high mounted front fender, which basically puts a front fender up here like a dirt bike, like the KX over there, and that will fix that problem. But putting in the front fender relocation kit has its own problems. With all that space up here now, it means that there is room for things, debris, road, whatever you want to call it, come flying up out of the tyre and hit the radiator. So when we do the front high fender kit, we'll then put a nice strong aftermarket radiator guard on it because obviously we don't want to damage that radiator and the coolant system for the Tenere 700. So the next major issue for the T7, well, it's not really a major issue, but it's just a bit of a user issue or riding style issue, is the front forks. It's probably thinking why the front forks an issue, but basically everyone who rides a T7 will know is that the front forks are really underrated for the bike and plus the rider. So when you come off some jumps or you hit some bumps, it is really soft in the front end and has a lot of play in it, which is not ideal if you've got luggage on it. And that sort of thing. It just basically means that in those springs and the forks, you're going to get metal on metal really easy, which is not good. So to fix that, you can put in aftermarket springs, which we're going to do in the T7. So we'll take it to a suspension specialist and get these re-springed and then re-oiled, obviously to a heavier rate, which obviously I'm a bigger guy, so I need that. When I rode this off-road and hit some of those roll-throughs, I did notice the fronts just want to collapse in too much. Even with the rebound and the softness adjusters all clicked up, it's still a bit too soft for my liking. So the next issue on the side, well, it's not really issues, these are just bugbears of mine really anyway, is just how underprotected some of the components are for the bike frame, for sticks, debris, my feet, from the boots, just anything really. So with that, I sort of mean we've got this ABS sensor for the front and rear, and then we've got the rear master cylinder for the brakes. So to combat that, I've gone and purchased some guarding, which will go fitting in another episode. So basically, if we drop the bike or something flicks up on the side, we can damage the braking components, which is not ideal on the T7. They do have a dual disc front end and a single disc on the rear, plus the ABS, which is switchable on and off. And we want to try and protect those components, especially off-road. Like, it's a fair whack if we do something to the braking system. So the more we can protect it, the better off I think we're going to be in the long run for the T7. Another issue that I found with the T7 is the the rear brakes and just how soft they are compared to, say, the KX. I know they're completely different bikes, but you stomp on or you tap on that rear brake, that one wants to lock up and then put you in a fishtail. This one has just got a bit too much play for my liking. You put it on and there's nothing, and then you've got to really push it on, and then all of a sudden it's locked. So to fix that, Camel ADV do a rear brake fix kit. So we're going to look at doing that in the future, just to basically help us out if we need to stop off-road or on the road, just to take out that play, and then we'll know that when we put the foot on, we're going to get 100% braking capacity. So another major issue with the T7 is just how these rear mufflers and the muffler exhaust are all mounted onto the bike. So basically they come up and under and then wrap in, and then they mount off the subframe underneath the guards here. The next problem is you have, if you look down the side of the bike, is you look that within the lines here, the exhaust sits the furthest out apart from the pegs. So if you have a decent bingle or lay the bike down on the right side, you're gonna then push in that exhaust, which will basically push in towards the swing arm. And what I mean is that there's not much room. I'll try and get my camera in there. You look at how much room there is in between the exhaust here and the swing arm. So if you have a couple of good offs or a couple of good crashes, that will eventually close up just because of how soft this frame is. And then all of a sudden you're gonna start having pitting and rub marks all on your swing arm, and that's an expensive ordeal to fix. So the last issue I have with the T7, it's not really an issue, it's just I don't like it, is the rear fender or the rear guard, which we'll have a look at. So this is the stock rear mounting kit for all the lights plus the number plate. So it's just quite big and bulky, and being so large and bulky hanging off the bike, I'm really worried with tires flicking it, stuff hitting it, that sort of stuff, and panniers and luggage. So to fix that, we'll eventually go and get a tail tidy kit, which will basically bring everything back up and under, and will eliminate this big frame here and just basically make it nice and slipstream. And that's basically it for the T7. So we've had a look at all the good and the bads for the T7. As much as I've had some bad points, the good points really outweigh it. I've had a good ride this off-road, which we'll show you in a future episode. And I've got to say, it is an absolute weapon off-road. I did have a situation where I forgot to turn the ABS off, and then I realised that every time you turn the key off, the ABS will turn ABS will turn back on. So if you're off-road, you need to make sure that you turn the bike off, you turn the ABS off again, because if you go down a hill with ruts and you push your front brake on, it will just want to push you down the hill because the ABS will kick in. But other than that, this bike is absolutely phenomenal. I can't say that word, so I'll just say it that way. Anyway, the bike is amazing. I've ridden off-road, on-road, and so far I've loved the absolute crap out of it. It is so comfortable, the power is so smooth, the torque's there, the down gearing's really smooth, the up gearing's really smooth, the low end power is unreal for first, second gear in the trails. The only downside I have about the Tenere is the tyres that's on at the moment. When we're riding off-road, I just found that they were a little bit too slippery because they're not the most aggressive tyres. They are more a 80-20, so 80% road, 20% off-road. So we're going to try and find maybe a 50-50, or we'll go 20% road, 80% off-road. We'll just have a look on what sort of we're terrain we'll be riding in the future, I guess will be 50-50. So I think if I go 50-50 is a safe bet for me in this bike, really. And that's basically it for the reveal on the T7 and our walk around of the T7 here in my shed. So in the next future episodes of Dirt and Dints, you'll see me doing up this bike. We're going to put a whole bunch of stuff on it to make it an absolute off-road monster. Even Poltaris will be jealous of it, I'd imagine. I mean, I can only dream. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to do this bike up absolutely crazy like, with some nice stuff on there, ready for our big trip next year, which is going to be unreal, which will take you all with us. I'm super excited for this trip and just can't wait for it to be August 2024. And so with that, we'll pull the pin here on this episode. So if you've liked this reveal of the bike and you like the motorcycle yourself, definitely go check out the T7, go check out the Yamaha stores and have a look for yourself. There is the Tenere 700, which you got here, and now they've got the World Raid, which is a bit of an upgraded version of this one. And I've just seen online that Yamaha will be releasing a T7 Extreme, which is basically, I think, reading between the lines, it's sort of based very much loosely off Poltaris's T7, but it looks unreal. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be getting it in Australia, but we'll build our own T7 Extreme here in the shed. So if you like this video, or you know someone that will like it that has a T7 and wants to see it all done up, definitely share this video, like it, comment on it, and hit that follow button. And we will see you in the future to build up this T7 monster. Bye!